Before the sun opens its eyes, the drums begin to speak. Boom after boom, a call to the faithful. Women tie wrappers tight around their waists. Children chase chickens that run wild in the dust. Men grab their Bibles and hurry down red paths. Laughter, songs, and whispers fill the air. They say the pastor will preach fire today, someone says. The spirits will tremble, another replies. The drums beat faster, and Umechi village wakes to the promise of holy noise. The church shakes with clapping hands. Voices rise, feet stamp, hearts pound. At the front, the pastor's voice rolls like thunder. Sign walks in daylight. He cries, striking the Bible hard, Amen. The people shout, Sin hides in our homes. Amen. Again, louder this time. Sweat shines on his face, but pride shines brighter. He raises his hands, drinking the power of their belief. The choir sings, the people dance, and faith burns like fire. Suddenly, the heavy church doors groan open. Every eye turns. An old woman steps in, her wrappers torn, her stick hitting the ground with each step. The song dies mid-note. The drums fall silent. Whispers crawl through the crowd. Who dares disturb the Lord's house? Someone murmurs. But the woman walks straight ahead, eyes fierce, voice sharp as broken glass. Her stick points at the pulpit. You have defiled the home of the native doctor. The words strike harder than drums. Gasps break like glass. Mouths open. Hands cover faces. A child begins to cry. Even the wind seems to stop. The old woman's eyes burn as she stands firm, waiting for truth to tremble. For a heartbeat, no one breathes. Then voices crash together like waves. What did she say? Impossible. God forbid. Elders rise, waving hands for calm. But the noise grows wild. The pastor's smile fades. His fingers dig into the Bible's leather. The word sin now sits heavy in the air, too thick to swallow. The old woman's voice rises above the storm. Adana, the native doctor's daughter. She carries your seed. The name echoes again and again. Adana, Adana, mother's hiss. Men shake their heads. This is abomination. Someone spits. The pastor's mouth opens, but his voice cracks. Lies, he shouts. Wicked lies. But even his echo sounds afraid. The elders surround the old woman. Mind your tongue, one warns. She lifts her chin high. Let her belly speak for me. The crowd gasps. The pastor's hand trembles. Sweat shines on his brow. The devil is among us, he declares. But his voice shakes and his eyes do not meet theirs. The old woman does not blink. The truth already dances in the air, waiting to be heard. Some voices rise in defense. Our pastor is holy, they cry. But others whisper, Adana has not been seen for weeks. The words travel like ants over hot sand. 2 young men rush out, shouting, Fetch her. The crowd murmurs louder, torn between faith and fear. The air grows thick, and no one knows whom the spirits stand beside. Elder Naji strikes his stick on the floor. Once, twice, thrice, peace. He commands, let the truth be known. Another voice joins, deep and steady. We will call both families tonight. The people quiet down. The pastor lowers his head. The old woman spits on the ground and turns away. The crowd parts for her like water for a storm. Her steps echo with the weight of truth. The pastor lifts his Bible again. Let the truth speak by itself, he says softly. The choir begins a hymn, but the song falters. No one joins. Eyes watch, not in faith, but in doubt. Feet shuffle toward the doors. The church empties, leaving silence behind. Only the pastor remains, alone with his trembling words. Outside, the drums begin again, slow and heavy. Not the drums of worship, but of warning. Children whisper, the gods have entered the church. Women cover their heads. Men stare at the sky, now dark with clouds. The drums beat on, boom, 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 like the heart of judgment. And as thunder grumbles in the distance, the people of Umechi know, no secret sleeps forever beneath the red earth. His story spreads faster than harmattan wind. They say he once walked barefoot through thorns, begging for food. Now his shoes shine like mirrors, and his words shake walls. The Lord lifted me, he often shouts, his voice strong like thunder. The crowd cheers, women wave their wrappers in praise. But when the cheers fade, his eyes shift like shadows running from light. He walks tall before men, yet the dust of his past clings to his feet. Behind the palm fence, she listens each Sunday. The voice pulls her like a drum calling home. She whispers to her friend, his words sound stronger than father's charms. The friend laughs, you will bring trouble. But her heart beats faster each time that voice rises again. Something strange stirs, not fear, not shame, something like a forgotten dream. The fence becomes her window to forbidden faith. One morning, she hides her face beneath a scarf and slips inside. The drums beat, the choir sings, and her spirit trembles with wonder. When the preacher's eyes meet hers, his voice stumbles, then burns brighter. After the sermon, he smiles and says, "Even darkness seeks the light." Her heart jumps. The people clap, thinking he speaks of sin, not her. But the flame between their eyes burns quietly, unseen. Mama Ijeoma sees what others miss. By afternoon, her voice buzzes across the market. The doctor's daughter sits under the pastor's nose. She laughs, grinding pepper. Women gasp. Men shake heads. Children giggle behind baskets of yam. By sunset, the whole village hums with rumor. The preacher hears it and smiles proudly. Each whisper feels like praise, not warning. The wind carries his name farther than truth can follow. He lifts his hands before his flock and cries. Even the house of spirits bows before the word. Cheers, roar, hands clap, drums, thunder. He basks in the noise like a king under his crown. Inside him, pride swells like a flood ready to break. If I can save the witch's child, he thinks, I can rule this land. His words grow louder, his prayers longer, and the line between holy fire and human hunger begins to fade. Night falls after long prayers. He asks her to stay. "You carry light inside you," he whispers. She lowers her eyes. He promises blessings, a new path, a clean name for her family. "Stay faithful to me," he says, "and the Lord will lift your father's curse." Outside, the crickets cry as if they know. The candles die slowly, leaving only the sound of two hearts trembling in the dark. She returns again and again, her smile shy but sure. He preaches with new fire, his voice heavy with secrets. The people cheer, not knowing sin hides in holy robes. Mama Ijeoma watches from afar. "The pastor's prayers are now too long," she whispers. Laughter follows her words, but suspicion lingers like smoke. Each sermon feels louder, yet less pure. Each amen sounds softer than before. Weeks pass. The morning comes when she cannot rise from her mat. Her breath is weak, her hands cold. Her mother asks, "What troubles you, child?" Tears fall before words. Then the truth spills out like water from a cracked pot. The air turns still. Her father's charms rattle as if the spirits have heard. The secret has grown too heavy to hide beneath her ribs. The father returns from the forest, with ashes on his face and thunder in his eyes. He strikes his staff 3 times on the ground. "The man of God has entered my house without knocking," he roars. The sound rolls through the compound and beyond. Villagers gather, whispering prayers no one remembers. The air thickens with fear. The spirits stir in the trees. Even the birds forget their songs. The village divides like water meeting oil. Half shout, "Touch not the Lord's anointed." The others cry, "The spirits will avenge this shame." Drums answer drums. One for heaven, one for earth. Songs of praise, battle, chants of vengeance. Children whisper, who is stronger, God or the gods? Old men shake heads, remembering days when both powers walked together. Now, the fire of faith burns against the fire of fury. A messenger arrives at the church carrying a gourd of palm wine. He drops it at the preacher's feet and walks away without a word. Inside the gourd, a folded note waits. "Let him come to my compound if he dares." It reads, "Let truth speak before spirits and men." The message travels faster than the messenger. The drums of the village fall silent for the first time in weeks. He gathers his elders and reads the note aloud. "The devil trembles before light," he says, forcing a laugh, but his hands shake. The elders exchange uneasy glances. The choir sings a weak hallelujah that dies before reaching the roof. The night outside grows heavy, pressing against the walls. In his heart, faith and fear wrestle like twins in the dark. Judgment has begun its slow walk toward him. The sun hung low, spilling gold across the village. Drums beat slowly, doom, summoning every ear and eye to the unfolding day. Feet shuffled across the red earth as a man walked with purpose, flanked by elders whose faces bore the weight of the church's authority. Villagers paused, baskets in hand, heads turned. The compound waited, quiet but alive, as the man stepped forward. He carried a Bible in one hand, hope and fear in the other. On a wooden stool, a figure watched, calm yet fierce, eyes sharp as a blade. "Welcome, holy men." The voice cut through the air, smooth yet dangerous. The drums slowed. The earth seemed to listen. A young woman stepped forward, pale and trembling, her hands cradling the life growing inside her. Behind her, quiet tears traced her mother's cheeks, but the eyes of the stern figure never wavered. "Speak truth before gods and men." The command rang hard as stone. She faltered, lips shaking, then whispered, "It was the pastor." The air tightened, as if the earth itself sucked in its breath. Gasps spread through the crowd like dry leaves in harmattan wind. Whispers rolled and echoed. "It is true. It cannot be. God help us." The man with the Bible lifted it, shaking, voice sharp yet strained. "She lies. The devil uses her tongue. Murmurs rippled, some nodding in agreement, some shaking in disbelief. I tried to help her. She was possessed. His accusation hung heavy. The elder slammed a staff into the ground, the echo splitting the air. You called my daughter possessed, yet it is your hands that are dirty. The words cut like machetes. Silence fell, thick and suffocating, before tension spiraled again. You use charms. I use grace, the man said, eyes blazing. Let heaven judge us both. A reply rose from the other, voice low, fierce. Your heaven will kneel before my ancestors tonight. The wind shifted, carrying unease. Even the chickens stopped, sensing the charge. Elders muttered prayers beneath their breath, fingers tracing amulets and beads. The world seemed suspended between faith and fear. By evening, voices filled every corner of the village. In the market, women argued over baskets of yam, voices sharp and loud. Even pastors fall, one cried. The native doctor's gods will not sleep tonight. Another spat. Children peeked from behind stalls, eyes wide, whispering questions too big for their mouths. Some villagers stood with the man of God, others with the keeper of ancestral wisdom. The entire village became a drum, every heartbeat counting toward the next unfolding act. That night, ritual began. Palm wine poured onto red earth, flowing like prayer into the soil. Let the earth judge. The command rang, carried on the voices of the ancestors. A challenge was set the night of truth. If the man spoke honestly, protection would follow. If not, the spirits would claim him. Murmurs rolled across the compound as the words sank in, setting the stage for justice older than the hills. Inside the church, the man paced, sweat dripping from a brow that once knew only pride. He plays with charms. The mutter escaped lips, quiet but urgent. But I have the word. An assistant leaned close, whispering questions too dangerous to voice fully. What if his gods answer first? The Bible slammed into the floor, echoing through hollow walls. We will silence them before they speak, he declared, teeth clenched. Pride still burned, but fear slithered alongside it, hungry and sharp. Midnight fell like a dark cloth over the village. One figure crept toward sacred symbols, carrying oil and salt, a prayer for deceit on his lips. Every step was careful, every breath a warning. Pastor says, destroy the charms, and victory will be ours, came the whisper. Oil poured, symbols slicked, prayers muttered in imitation of holiness. The wind shrieked through trees. The fire refused to light. Shadows danced mockingly as if the night itself knew the truth. Retreat came fast, footsteps running, cries spilling into the dark. Goats bleated, voices high and childlike. The moon hid behind clouds, yet the night held no rain. A Bible, once pure, now soaked, bled red dust that fell like whispering warnings. The spirits mock us, came the desperate cry. Fear sank into hearts deeper than pride could climb. The village waited, breath held, as rumors carried faster than wind. The pastor's Bible bleeds. The spirits have chosen sides. Children stayed close to elders. Birds flew low. From the compound, laughter echoed, bitter and knowing. Now, let the night speak for itself. Dawn brought movement and preparation. Prayer rose and measured. Sharp bursts from one side, incense and holy water, shaking hands and hearts. On the other, herbs ground to dust, symbols drawn in chalk, firelight awaiting guidance from powers unseen. Each claimed the truth, but the space between carried the weight of fear and curiosity alike. The stage was set, and all eyes turned toward the coming reckoning. The man raised his voice to the congregation. Defiance and pride layered thick in every word. Do not fear the charms of men. His voice shook slightly, betraying what the heart sought to hide. Some cheered, some stayed silent, eyes wary. Night crept closer, drawing shadows long across the floor, toward the forest, toward the unseen shrine where eyes, unseen and fierce, watched every motion. Torches burned bright. Faces glowed like embers, casting shadows that twisted and flickered with every breath. Drums echoed, distant but steady, carrying the heartbeat of the village. A young woman was carried forward, eyes fixed on the red dust beneath her feet. The staff rose, authority unmistakable, and a voice rang clear. Tonight, the spirits will show who lies. The crowd's chant followed like a wave crashing, building, unstoppable. Let truth speak. Let truth speak. Voices met across the night, one raised in faith, one in ancestral strength. It was the pastor. The words broke, small yet fierce. Denials rose like wildfire. But the truth was no longer hidden. She lies. The devil uses her tongue. The Bible shook in trembling hands, fingers white against leather. You use charms, I use grace. Let heaven judge us both. Another voice shot back. Your heaven will kneel before my ancestors tonight. The wind shivered. Even the air seemed to pause. The night deepened. Fire flared and dimmed. Shadows stretched like long fingers clutching at those who dared stand. Murmurs rolled through the crowd, whispers multiplying. Some defended, some condemned, some simply watched. Every drum beat a heart, every shout a spark. And in the silence between, the spirits listened. The words spoken could not be taken back. Truth moved forward, steady, patient, and unyielding. Adana's gaze lifted briefly, steadying herself against trembling knees. She carried the burden of revelation, the weight of truth spilling into the village's soul. Sweat and fear mingled with the air, mingled with the scent of palm wine and dust. Eyes watched her, voices waited for her next word. Every soul caught between dread and hope, in that charged silence. Firelight and torchlight weaving together, the night itself seemed to lean closer. The air pulsed with expectation, fear, and the unbroken rhythm of drums. The challenge was set, pride and deception laid bare, and the dance between two powers, one of faith, one of ancestors, was about to unfold, and so the night waited. The villagers watched, the spirits lingered. The stage was set for truth to speak, and none could hide from the eyes of gods, men, and the earth itself. The full moon rose high, glowing like silver upon the earth. Drums spoke in steady beats, slow but certain doom, calling every ear and eye to the sacred ground. Men lifted heavy sticks, striking the talking drums with authority. Women carried torches high, the flames flickering like fire spirits dancing. Children huddled behind baskets, whispering questions too timid to speak aloud. The ground smelled of red earth and the smoke of last night's fire. At the center, a man stood tall, his chest proud, his eyes alive with authority. Tonight, the land will choose truth. The voice rang hard and sharp. The village leaned closer, every soul aware that the night would speak. White chalk met the red earth. A circle took shape, wide and deliberate, drawn with the weight of command. Whoever lies inside this circle will not leave alive. The warning carried, heavy as stone. Murmurs rustled through the crowd like dry leaves. Some crossed their hearts, clutching beads and charms. Others stepped back, uncertain, their feet uncertain on the dust. Eyes darted toward the fire, hands gripped talismans tighter. One man, chest lifted in defiance, clutched a leather-bound book, fingers trembling as though the circle already knew his secret. Step by step, the man walked into the circle, sweat beading on his brow. "I fear no charm," he declared, voice ringing out, bold and loud. "My God is light." The staff struck the ground once, twice, sending vibrations through the earth. "Then let your light burn true," came the sharp reply, echoed by the rhythmic chant of villagers. "Truth, truth, truth." A chant that pulsed in their hearts, a drum inside every chest. The book rose high into the air. "Before heaven, I am innocent." The fire roared as if in response, then faltered, dying to smoke alone. Gasps ran like wind through the crowd. Whispers rose. "The spirits are not pleased." Eyes narrowed. Voice cold as river stone, "The truth runs from your mouth." Tension carved the air into edges sharp enough to draw blood. A cry, piercing and distant, cut through the night. A baby wailed, sharp and haunting, echoing against the trees. The girl trembled, her knees weak, and she fell into the arms of her mother. Silence followed, thick as clay. Even the wind held its breath. Kneeling beside the dying fire, a voice muttered, low, almost a song, "They have arrived." Then sparks rose, tiny at first, trembling above the ashes. Then flame leaped red gold, alive. All eyes swung toward, the man chest heaving, eyes wide. A faint glow appeared on his skin, marking the pattern of ancestors long past. The crowd screamed, some stumbling backward, some kneeling in terror. Light danced across faces, illuminating fear and awe alike. Laughter rang out, sharp and bitter. The spirits claimed their child. The man staggered, shaking. "No, I am a man of God." The reply came low, firm, unyielding. "You are a man of this soil." Murmurs spreading faster than wildfire. His mother was from the line of the keeper. Shock rippled through the crowd, hearts pounding. A staff lifted toward the full moon. "Your mother was my apprentice." The voice cut across the night, strong as thunder. "You carry the same blood you mock." The man shook, wild eyes darting, words stumbling over pride and fear. "I left the old ways." The reply was calm, unrelenting, but the old ways never left you. Knees weakened, strength faltered. The night itself seemed to hum with the weight of ancestors, their power woven into the air and earth alike. Thunder cracked, splitting the silence. The ground vibrated, a hum rolling beneath the feet of the watching village. He fell, trembling, his book slipping from hands that had once held certainty. Voices whispered through the darkness, low and unseen. He loved her. He loved the child, yet feared the past. Truth spilled over the earth, unstoppable and unyielding. Tears and cries followed. "Yes, I loved her. I feared the truth would ruin me. Fists pounded against the chest, a rhythm ancient and undeniable. I thought I could bury my bloodline, but the land remembered. The answer came steady, unbroken. No one buries what the ancestors have planted. The village, held in stunned silence, witnessed the earth reclaim its knowledge. Even the drums held their beat, paused in respect. Fire calmed. The air cooled. The mark faded, leaving only a scar, a reminder of bloodlines and the weight of the past. He has spoken. Let the spirits rest, came the command, voice carrying across the hushed crowd. Eyes softened. The girl stirred, opening her eyes, fragile and bright, a life untouched by the chaos of revelation. Two elders stepped forward, lifting the weakened man, hands held firm yet gentle, guiding him from the sacred circle. He clutched his book, lips moving in prayers that trembled more like pleas than declarations. A woman wept quietly, tears tracing lines down her cheeks as thunder rolled in the distance. Deep, distant, final. The night exhaled, torches flickered, faces glowing red and gold under the silver gaze of the moon, heads bowed. Earth received palm wine, poured as offering a gesture older than memory. Let truth live among us, the words whispered, soft but full of weight. The moon shone brighter, its glow like a nod from the ancestors. Approval woven in silence. The drums fell into rhythm again, slower now, deliberate. Speaking of peace returned. Whispering winds carried lessons. No power can hide from the truth. No man can bury the call of the earth. No word can escape the gaze of ancestors. Shadows faded from eyes. Hearts settled, though pulse remained alive with the memory of the night's revelation. The girl, her mother at her side, walked slowly to the circle. Her feet brushed the red earth lightly. A connection felt deep within her chest. The elders watched, the fire whispered, and the wind carried stories forward. The man who once claimed light now bent beneath it, humbled, reshaped by forces older than God or men. Every voice, every heartbeat, every drum knew the truth. It could not be hidden. The land remembered. The spirits had spoken. The night itself had judged. A calm descended. Torches flickered low, the circle empty but alive in memory. The scar on the chest remained, faint but permanent, a lesson etched into the blood and soil. Villagers whispered in reverence. The earth watches, the fire remembers, the bloodline cannot lie. Eyes bright, children curious, adults humbled, the village returned to rhythm. A new chapter had begun, one forged in courage, revelation, and the relentless truth of ancestors. The moon lingered high, casting its silver gaze upon the red earth, silent witness to the night's events. Breath returned to lungs held tight, whispers carried across rooftops and market stalls. Life resumed, but nothing was as before. Every footstep echoed with understanding, every heartbeat beat in memory of what was revealed. The land, patient and eternal, had spoken, and the people would not forget. The villagers gathered around the old wooden church, their eyes heavy with both reverence and curiosity, hands pressed against wrappers, baskets at their feet. They watched as the elders moved with quiet authority. The hinges creaked once, twice, as the iron lock clicked into place. It must rest, came the voice, firm and deliberate. The spirits and angels must breathe again. Dust swirled around their feet as if the earth itself mourned the silence that followed. The churchyard, once filled with songs and laughter, now held only the soft hum of wind, whispering old hymns, carrying memories of voices that would sing no more. The next morning, whispers traveled like smoke through the market. He left before sunrise, one voice murmured, catching ears in every corner. Only his Bible was found, another added, shaking her head. Some spoke of pity, folding their hands over hearts that beat with doubt. Others nodded, certain that judgment had come, swift and silent. From the edge of the square, a man's voice rose softly, steady as riverstone. Let the land deal with its child. No one argued. The wind carried the words across the red earth, and even gossip seemed to bow. Days passed slowly, like thick honey poured across the sun. Women visited her, bringing herbs and songs, chanting softly in rhythm with the heartbeats of the unborn. Pain comes before peace, my daughter, the midwife said, voice gentle as a mother's blessing. She nodded, holding her belly as if to protect both hope and fear within its small, growing shape. Elders moved quietly around her, stepping lightly, voices low, guarding the spaces where dreams might grow. Thunder grumbled in the distance when the child finally arrived. The cries cut through the air, sharp and alive. Arms lifted the tiny body, a declaration in the language of blood and spirit. He carries both fire and peace, came the voice, strong and steady. A faint smile touched her lips as the small hand gripped her finger, fierce and unyielding. From afar, drums echoed, half in celebration, half in warning. their rhythm tracing the dual paths of life and fate. In the market, whispers circled like restless spirits. "He is Joram's blood," some said, eyes darting toward the child. Others countered, "No, he is the land's gift." A voice rose above the murmurs, calm and unshakable. "Let no tongue curse what the ancestors bless." Silence fell. In its wake, even gossip bowing before wisdom older than men, older than memory. The air hummed with unspoken respect near the riverbank. A boy discovered footprints pressed into the moist earth. They led no further, fading like secrets that would not speak. A Bible lay open upon a stone, its pages damp with dew. He went where truth sent him, muttered a voice, low and measured. The villagers left the book untouched, a sacred warning, a memory etched into the soil and sky alike. Time moved slowly in quiet winds. Rains returned, drumming softly on roofs and leaves. Crops grew tall again, bending with life and weight. She stood beside her father, strong and steady, no longer afraid of what might come. "You have carried shame and turned it into strength," the voice said, warm and certain. She nodded, letting the weight of years lift from her shoulders like morning mist. Under a wide mango tree, children gathered. Some bore crosses, others charms, their hands eager to learn and to touch the world with knowledge. "Letters have no tribe," came the soft declaration as chalk scratched across a wooden board. Laughter bubbled through the air, filling the space where judgment had once ruled. Even from afar, a proud gaze watched in silence, careful not to disturb the joy that grew as freely as the earth beneath their feet. One night, the old church bell rang on its own. Its voice rolled over the hills, slow and heavy, sorrowful yet commanding. Villagers rose from sleep, eyes wide, whispering in the shadows. "He has come to beg the wind." From the compound, a low murmur acknowledged the words. "Repentance travels faster than feet." The bell's echo faded into the hills, but its message lingered, carried in hearts and minds alike. At dawn, silence lay over the churchyard once more. The bell rested still and patient. The church remained untouched, yet peace hummed quietly in the air, subtle but unshakable. A small hand held another, carrying a life that had known both fire and blessing. Flowers were laid beside the open Bible, petals bright against red earth, a symbol of both truths living side by side. "Let both truths live," whispered the voice, tender as the wind brushing over the hills. Finally, the storyteller's voice rose, slow and steady, like the beat of a distant drum. "Even when men hide, truth walks without feet." The words traveled across the village, reaching every ear and heart. The earth remembers, the wind repeats, and the moon keeps watch. Heads nodded, faces reflecting quiet understanding. Anger had faded, leaving only wisdom in its place. The drumbeat slowed, fading into the distance. The story, heavy with life and truth, slept at last. The drums of Umechi had fallen silent. Even the wind seemed afraid to speak, holding its breath as though it feared to wake what had settled over the village. The church doors remained shut, iron locks cold and unyielding. The shrine, once alive with the crackle of sacred fire, was now quiet, the ashes cold. The moon hung heavy in the sky, red and watchful, casting long shadows over the red earth. Villagers whispered among themselves, voices low and cautious. "Peace has returned, but it walks on soft feet." The oldest elder lifted his staff, gnarled and carved with marks of generations past. His voice cut through the quiet, steady and unwavering. "Power without truth is wind chasing dust." Another elder, younger yet still weighed with years, nodded slowly. "Faith is strong," he said, voice sharp, "but lies grow teeth when buried." The words drifted through the night, brushing against ears and hearts alike, sinking into the minds of children who pressed close, their eyes wide and ears hungry for every syllable. In the stillness, whispers crawled from the shadows. Behind the old church wall, children claimed they heard voices, soft twisting, half-truths, and old secrets rattling against stones. "Lies don't die," a woman warned, her voice carrying through the courtyard. "They wait for moonlight to rise again." The crowd murmured their agreement, eyes darting to the closed doors in the quiet shrine. "Truth," they said, "walks even when eyes are closed. Even in the darkest corners, the land remembers." The storyteller's voice deepened, low as thunder rolling across distant hills. "The strongest man is not the loudest preacher," he intoned, letting each word sink like stone into clay. "He is the one who kneels before truth kneels him." Heads nodded slowly. Men whose hearts once burned with pride reflected upon the tale just witnessed, mirrored in the downfall of one who had wielded fire without wisdom and one who had carried truth without fear. The lesson was heavy, yet simple. Courage is measured by honesty, not by the size of one's voice. From that night onward, a new saying took root in Umechi. Villagers repeated it at markets, in the fire circles of evening, even along dusty roads where travelers paused to listen. He who mocks the spirits with his tongue will meet them in his dreams. The proverb grew teeth of its own, sharp and lasting, teaching children caution, teaching adults humility. It was a warning, yes, but also wisdom stitched into the fabric of everyday life. Even the youngest knew that words carried weight far beyond a single breath. Rain fell quietly in the nights that followed, washing the footprints of those who had fought, those who had fled, and those who had waited, yet the earth kept memory beneath its soft red soil, unforgetting, patient, and silent. The storyteller's voice rose again, gentle but firm. No secret sleeps forever beneath the red earth. A chorus of hums arose from the crowd, a low sound of understanding, not fear. The villagers leaned into the rhythm of his words, letting the truth settle like seeds in fertile soil. Mothers began to tell their children in hushed tones by the fire, wrapping the tale in warmth and caution. Once there was a pastor who forgot truth, they said, and a daughter who carried it. The drums tapped slowly. The fire crackled in harmony, echoing the rhythm of remembrance. And so, the storyteller concluded, voice rising like an evening drumbeat, the tale of the pastor and the native doctor's daughter lives on. Pausing, he let the words settle, a reminder that truth may walk slowly, but it never loses its path. The villagers nodded, faces solemn yet proud, eyes lifted toward the red moon, hearts steady with the knowledge that the land remembers, that stories endure, and that truth always finds its way home. Even in the silence that followed, the village felt alive. The wind stirred softly, carrying the memory of voices and footsteps of fire and blood, of whispers and warnings. The drumbeats had ended, but the tale did not. It had taken root in every ear, every heart, every child who would one day repeat it. Peace had returned, yes, but the memory of the storm, the lesson of shame, strength, and truth would walk among them always.